welcome to another episode of Back to the Burgh, presented by the PodHub Network. My guest today grew up in Center, Pennsylvania, where he would become an exceptional baseball player. He played for the Cal U Vulcans and eventually was asked to join the Washington Nationals at spring training in 2011. He would play professionally for several years until an injury sidelined his career. Now he's a college coach as well as a philanthropist, starting his own charity, the SD Project, giving the gift of baseball to at-risk youth athletes. Please welcome my guest, Sam DiMatteo. Sam, what's up, man? How you doing?
What's going on? Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, no problem. So we're going to start out. I want to know, where did your love for baseball come from? Let's just get right to the point.
Okay. Yeah, it was definitely just as when I was younger. I think when you can first get into all your sports, t-ball, and I think that's always the first one is like t-ball and soccer, and you just run around and you don't really know what you're doing. But those are my first two, and then soccer didn't last long, and then I started playing football. The first year you could play, and baseball and football were my two favorites, and basketball mixed in too in there. But but baseball was just one where as soon as I started that up, as soon as t-ball was done and you get into like coach pitch and stuff, I was just always a good baseball player the whole way through. That was always just my football too, but baseball was much more my thing. That was because I was never the biggest dude the whole way through, you know, and I loved football. I almost liked football more than baseball, but I just knew baseball I had a better shot because I was never a big guy and I was fast, you know, so that was, I liked both, but I think baseball kind of always, I was like here where football is here. But I really did like both, but I think I knew as I got older, even when I was in fifth grade, sixth grade, like I wanted to play a professional sport. That was always my thing. And I knew that baseball was my best route to do so. So I
think everybody in high school and like growing up kind of has that realization, like almost any kid wants to be a professional athlete, right?
Yeah.
And you kind of are like, okay, you have to have like you're like 13 years old and you have this little business conversation with yourself.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, what's the best route?
how are we gonna make this happen?
Exactly.
But yeah, so I know I had that talk with myself many times.
Yeah.
But I knew I didn't have the size. So I was man, I always have football player mentality. So I brought that with me. That was a good thing.
Hey, it always helps, right?
Yeah.
But I think it's funny, you mentioned you also played basketball, and I feel like everybody played those were the three main sports, were football, basketball, baseball. And it was like football made you tough, baseball was just fun, and then basketball kept you conditioned. Like I hated basketball. I'm terrible at basketball, but I played every year up until like high school just to make sure I could keep going.
Yeah. That's when I dropped off high school, and it's like now you have to like put in a lot of serious work and you have to be very committed. I was like, I was just playing this just to play.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So growing up, who were some of the people that you looked up to, like I guess in baseball, like who your role models in baseball that you like you wanted to be like them basically?
Yeah. Man, I have my dad is always a big answer to. I mean, that's first and foremost because he's the one who, man, we put a lot of time in since I was a little kid. Even when I was doing anything at age 25, 26, let's go to the field and hit. Let's go, we went after it together, and he put a ton of time into me going after that. So definitely my dad, easily. And then I would honestly, I don't have a person. Like I was so tunnel visioned on getting myself there, and I didn't really watch a ton of baseball because baseball is all I ever did. So I didn't watch it as much as you would think I would, being a baseball person. And then after it didn't happen, and you're like a little bit sour to baseball, then I didn't watch it because of that after. So like to tell you the truth, I don't watch as much baseball as I should. And at this age now, I like to watch it because you learn.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When now I'm watching it for different reasons. Now as a coach, it's cool to watch how the managers do things and shifts and this and that, just scenarios and how the people on the they set up the defense, they put all these guys here and then shifting, just it's cool now to watch it from a coaching standpoint rather than a player standpoint where I'd be pissed all the time because I'm not there. And then I didn't make it, you know, and then you watch, I'm like, I don't want to watch these guys. That's what I was trying to do. And so I would just say that the easiest answer, the person that I look up to throughout my baseball stuff is just my dad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
he was my number one fan. He was like my right-hand man through it all. It's my guy.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what separates a lot of athletes from the ones that like they can meet that potential of being a professional athlete and just being someone who likes playing sports is that like, oh, this is my favorite player. And it's like, no, I want to be my favorite player. Like the mentality you had, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I feel like that separates a lot of people.
I talk to my players like that. I tell them, I'm like, I've been on many teams where I have great friends on my team, but I want to be the best player on the field. You know what I mean? And I want to be, I'm watching everyone else do good and I am happy for them, but deep down, just such a vicious competitor that it's like, I always want to be the number one guy. I want to, and I always had that. You got to control that. You got to, sometimes that could be, that can work against you, your mental game and how it works and things like that. But, yeah, you know what, too, I would say, too, along that whole journey, I really did respect my teammates that I played with, and you watch people that aren't at the top yet, and you watch, it's tough. It's hard to hang on to. You don't make a lot of money. You're living in basements. Some of them have families and kids and just watch everybody, how they carry themselves. And you got to really love it at that point. To try to make all that stuff work. And I mean, honestly, I think every player that makes it had to go through that too. So it's not like, just because they're at the top, you're like, oh man, must be nice. They had to do it too. Everyone's got a story. Everyone had to get through all of that shittiness, and some get quick. Some, I mean, your elite athletes get through it quicker than the other ones. But most of the time, when you get there, you see everybody that's there. All these superstars in MLB, it's a cool story behind each one of them more times than not. So, I'm not saying it was just us scrapping, it's everybody,
Yeah.
It's just that a lot of us were there more than you'd like to be, we were some of us that hung around for 6 or 7 years in that, we're not even in a minor league system. We're kind of just floating in the middle there. It's great times. You make good friends. That's the other thing is when you're living that lifestyle and you watch how everybody go through the struggles and you really have each other's backs and things like that, man. I made a lot of great friends. That's the payoff, at the end of all of it. You forget all the baseball. So I don't remember
absolutely.
much, just one big blur.
Yeah, and I do want to get back to the minor league grind and all that. We'll talk about that later, but I want to bring it back to Beaver County. And I need to know, what was there to do as a teenager in the early 2000s in Beaver County? What did you guys do?
Man, this is awesome. I never got asked this question. I could talk for 2 hours about this one. Now, honestly, it was the area I grew up in. Oh, my guys that I grew up with, they'll love this. Sherwood, our neighborhood was called Sherwood Drive. And we had so many friends so close to each other in this little plan. If you drive in a circle around all the houses, it would take you 2 minutes, and we had a ton of friends all through there. And when we were like 90s kids, we would, after school, pick up football, murder ball, backyard baseball, flashlight tag, paintball, build forts in the woods and sleep in it. Go pick up rocks and try to find like snakes and frogs and this come home with a big bucket of shit, and it's all honestly, we did. You know what we used to do? We used to remember when Jackass came out, all that stuff. Yeah. That was right when we were we were 12 and 10, and we used to try to do that stuff, and we'd be getting in trouble and filming it, and oh my gosh. But if you combined all that, if my friends heard this and you combined all that together, that was pretty much it. So, but it was cool. It was like it's not like that anymore. You don't see just pickup football games going down and backyard flashlight tag at night and kids riding bikes all over everybody's yards and neighborhoods and 10 bikes into the front yard. And that's what we did. We rode bikes everywhere. We went to each other's house. You just knock on the door. You didn't even know if anyone's home. Open the door, start yelling for your friend's name. Like it's different times. You don't see that much, but man, it was such a cool way to grow up. It really made us tough. You know, we're playing football, you get in a fight, you back, you know, your friends get in an argument, you're backing them up, playing kids from other towns. You know, it was cool. I definitely give some credit to my upbringing and how we were as a group and friends and stuff. It kind of, you know, gave us some toughness.
Yeah.
Because you're out on your own, doing your own thing, and you know, and then when it gets night, you run home and go eat dinner.
Yeah.
Your parents are yelling for you, you know. So it was cool. I love my childhood. I love the way I grew up. It was awesome. Sometimes I push for like my younger kids I teach. I say that I'm like, you go outside, you do this, you shoot hoops, you know, because right now it's like video game city, computer, phone, video game, and they're like 8 and 9 and 10. It's like, you know, so I know that when the times change, you got to change with the times too. You know, it's like you can't be like, no phone, no this. You're gonna nothing at all. Like you gotta give in a little bit. But I do think, you know, that it's good for these kids, you know, or parents to be like, hey, from this time to this time, get your ass outside, go run around, exactly. You know, But everyone's different. That's just how I feel about it.
Yeah, no, I was like, that's how I grew up too. Like, I think my generation was like the end of that, you know. We had all the video games, but it's like we still were like, our parents were kicking us out saying go outside for 3-4 hours and come back, you know. You're having the pickup games, we were playing whatever, we were playing release, all that stuff. And it's so much fun. And nowadays it's like these kids, they're sitting inside playing Fortnite. They don't have to hang out face to face, they just talk over the video games. And it's like, you know, you wonder what'll happen, you know, whenever they get to our age.
Everything just always changes. That's how it goes. Everything very different, you know. But so
let's talk about high school ball. Were you like the top guy on the team? I mean, obviously you had that mentality, but like, what was it like playing baseball for center?
It was always, you know, I started as a freshman, but my freshman year was tough. Like I wasn't an everyday guy. Like it was hard. I was small. You're a little bit nervous as a freshman. You know what I mean? Everyone much bigger. You're on the JV team, and I was mixing in a little bit. And you know, some of the players don't like that. You know, seniors, if they're on the bench and a freshman's playing this game, and so I had to deal with a little bit of that stuff. Not much. I knew most of the guys, and it was pretty cool. But as a sophomore, I did very well, and then junior and senior year, same thing. Did very well. And I would say baseball in Western PA is not like huge. Football in Western PA is big. So the baseball was good, but it's not like anything crazy. It's not, you know what I mean? I would say it's your basic high school talent level, you know, when we played our conference games and when we get into playoffs and then states. And what was cool, what was really challenging was whenever we go to, you do the like showcases where they pick the best players from Beaver County, and then you move on to the next step that would be like the best players from the western side of the state. And then if you make that cut, you go to PNC Park and there's all these dudes. And if you make that cut, then you go to the Pennsylvania East versus West game. And that's like all the best players in Pennsylvania playing each other and their scouts and stuff there. And that was awesome. Like that was a challenge. So I did that. I got to do that my senior year and went the whole way through. And that was really cool. That was hard. That wasn't easy at all. You know, that was all really good players. So that was cool. That was tough, but I enjoyed that because I always liked the challenge and carried myself at a high level too. So I enjoyed doing that stuff. But yeah, I loved it. I loved high school baseball. It's fun. It's just high school sports is much more fun. It's not as stressful. You know, when you get into college and when you get into any pro ball, anything, you know, a much higher level of stress when you take it very serious, you know, and then, you know, but it was, I still had fun with all of it, but I took it very serious. Sometimes I'd take the fun out of it because of how serious I took it. And once again, that's another big teaching point that, you know, from experience of being somebody that sometimes can go overboard with that. You know, it's good to take it that serious and be all in, but at the same time, you really have to be able to leave the field and turn your baseball brain off. And it was hard for me. That was hard for me to do when I would do bad or things weren't good. Very hard for me to just be like, okay, just let me go. I'll just go back home and everything's all good. I couldn't do it. I just took it so serious. that if I did good, I was normal. I wasn't like running around, throwing everyone's foul, just normal. That's what I expected. When I did bad, you knew it. You knew that I did bad. I didn't want to do shit. I'd be pissed until the next time that I did good. So that was a weakness of mine for sure.
Gotcha. And then, so like you mentioned, like how Western PA is not like a baseball area, like it's all football. So like coming from that, how much of a like how much did that affect your recruiting for college?
Yeah, I would say, that's a tough one because like even way back then, I didn't have a lot of people helping me. You know what I mean? I kind of just knew where good players were at from my area. Yeah. And that's kind of how I looked into places. Like we were possibly thinking the D1 route, and we just all the ones that were close: Pitt, WVU, like Marshall, I think, Villanova, I think one in Ohio, Akron, and all of the offers were the same. It was like, because I had awesome numbers, but I was probably 5'10", 170, 165, 170. And as an outfielder to D1, usually that's like, nope. Like that's small. And obviously, and it's how recruiting goes. Sometimes they don't know who you are and they just look at your numbers real quick and it's like, no, and then sometimes if they know you, or someone, that someone puts a word in or you have some video and they can watch and things like that. But my size was always against me. That was tough to battle against. And then whenever I went the D2 route, and same thing, I knew people that were awesome baseball players in our section, I remember, and I'd see where they went, and I started looking into some of these places. I was like, man, I thought these kids were awesome, and I would look to see where they were going. And then I called them, or I'd reach out to them and ask them like, hey, what's the baseball like there? I'm thinking about coming there. And I did that with a few schools. And in Cal U, California University of Pennsylvania, it had like 4 guys that I played against in high school that were all good. I was like, man, these guys were tough. This place has to be legit. And then I talked to them. They're like, yeah, it's tough. Like, it's not easy at all. I'm only hitting like 310 right now, blah, blah, blah. So then that's the only place I went to visit. And the coach was awesome. Mike Conti, very nice type of coach, like a little bit younger, like looked like he works out every day of his life. Like he played for the Oakland Athletics. Like he was very energetic, and you play your home games at the Wild Thing Stadium. So that was he was big in the weight room, saying how much they're big on weights, and that was me all the way. So so that was easily that hit right away. A couple of D2s I was thinking about as well, but that one was the best. That one felt the best. It was an hour and a half away from home. All the D1s, it was like, we can give you like maybe like the minimum amount of money, like nothing, basically. Nothing guaranteed, this, that, it just didn't all sound like none of them really wanted me, and this place, it was great. And it was perfect. Like, it was, honestly, I think it was the absolute perfect decision. I redshirted as a freshman. I got shoulder surgery. I think it was from football and lifting. And I went hard in high school with all that stuff. And so then it was a blessing because my first year I was a sophomore. It's like cheating. It's like how it feels. You get to learn the campus. You get to meet the team. You get to play in all the inter-squad games. You get used to college baseball. And then your first year that counts, it's like you're already got a feel for it. So if you can redshirt and you're a freshman and you're not going to play that much, everybody hates to do it because you want to play. You think you're going to play a lot. You don't want to sit around for a year. But man, if you can do it, if you can suck it up for that year and redshirt, it's a great thing if you're not going to be on the field a ton and then you waste a year of getting 30 at bats, So it worked out good. It was a good decision, and it set me on a path to have a shot at pro baseball, and that's what I wanted, So so I do. That was a good decision. The people that I met there, all my a lot of best friends from that school, and I still talk to my coach. It's really cool to talk to him from as coach to coach. Now it went from like player to coach to some stuck in this pro ball mix to my coach and the conversations of that, and now we talk as 2 head coaches. It's a cool little like evolution of conversation we have now. Yeah,
absolutely. Now, I want to backtrack a little bit because you're talking about your size, and I want to know your opinion about it now, because it's like there's been kind of a change in the stigma of sizes of guys, because you see a guy like Altuve, who's like a superstar, and he's what, like 5'4"? Like, I don't even know.
Yeah, he's very short. Yeah.
So like, dude, has that stigma kind of gone away in Major League Baseball, do you think? Or do you think he's just like a rare talent?
I think he's just, yeah. Put it this way. Just because this is the most obvious comments, this is the common answer you'll hear when you go down this road, but it's like anybody can be an awesome baseball player. It's just that whenever you're a coach at any program and you're just milling through hundreds of emails and you see 5'6", 160, like that doesn't jump out, like that's not, you're not writing that one down, if you're flying through emails. And that's what we get hit with, hundreds of emails, hundreds. And a lot of the time, and everybody's different. Like I do my best to at least watch video, or like whoever's sending me something, if it's a position I'm recruiting, at least watching it, you know what I mean? Rather than being like, no, that's not the right size. No, that's not the right size. I really do try to not just go that route, but everyone is different. Like when you ask these questions, everyone will give you a little bit of a different answer. Everybody's routine, the way people, what they want, how they do, everyone's different. I'm big on that as coaching. I think that in sports, baseball, life really is, it's never just one way. Everyone's got their own ways they do things, what they look for, how they do it, and I'm always, whatever works, whatever style you are, or whatever we're doing, it's good with me. I'm not this is how I do it, so this is the way, that I'm not really one of those people.
Gotcha. Yeah. So like, I kind of bring that up because like I played college football for a year. It's Division III. And I feel like I was judged as a lineman for my height. Like I was 5'11", and even at D3, they're looking for dudes that are like 6'4", 6'5". And it's like, even though I had like good footwork or whatever, like my fundamentals were good, they're like, oh, you're not big enough to like be our guy. So it's like in different sports, you take it different ways, I guess.
Yeah, as a lineman, shit, you gotta be you gotta be a certain.
You could have every skill set. You could be the best footwork, most strength, but if you're not like 6'2" or higher, you're almost written off immediately.
Those dudes are giants, man. Yeah, you're right. There's, what, another interesting thing too is like in baseball, you'll have guys that don't have anything spectacular like on paper. Like they'll make every routine play at second base. They grade at bats. They walk. They don't swing at bad pitches. Line drive hitter, decently fast, smart baseball player. Like you can go really far with guys like that. You know what I mean? Like if you have a big team of those type of guys that can play the game good, you can make your way, as a player like that. And then there will be players where their numbers are off the charts, but they're a little bit more wild. Or not as baseball savvy, or baseball IQ's not all there, and it's a little bit more of a free for all, and I was similar to that type of player, where it was like my skill set was freakish. Like I can hit like a 3-hole hitter, but run a 6'6", and had to throw 90 from the outfield, but I was a little wild in how I played. I wasn't a smart baseball player. I didn't, I would say the way I was coached, not the way I was coached, but I always did good. So I don't think anybody really ever sat me down and was like, hey, at the next level, all this dumb shit you're doing is going to get exposed. You know what I mean? That works here. That works in high school. That works in college. But at the next level, like these, how your approaches and the way your throws from the outfield and stealing on bases and all this stuff, it's like it's an interesting thing to talk about, because it was like, that is what allowed me to put those numbers up and be seen and do what I did. But at the same time, if you play like how I played in college at the pro level, sometimes it's a little too crazy, and there's not a plan behind it. You know what I mean? You can't just go up and go, okay, home run every time I swing. I know I'm faster than everyone, and I'm just stealing to steal because I'm fast. And
that's exactly how I played baseball. It was just like, all right, I'm gonna get up the bat, I'm gonna hit the ball as far as I can. There's no thought to it.
I'll tell you, I went a long ways playing like that. And I would say when I got into in a higher level of baseball, when you play like that, your games are like this: up, down, up, down, up, down. Like it would be like, look like you never played baseball before one day, and then the next day you're heading to count all 4 at bats, and you're just ripping fastballs because you're a fastball home run style mindset. And you go 3 for 4 that day, and then the next day you have 2 strikes on you, all 4 at bats, and you don't like to let the ball travel deep, so you're shit at bats that game. So that was kind of that was a challenge for me as well at that level, was being smart, playing with some intent behind what I was doing, cleaning my game up, baseball IQ. That was my weakness. I had all the skills, and you run past a lot of players like that where they're talented out, they have everything. You just put them out there and do a practice day, they'll blow you away. And then whenever it comes time to play a baseball game, and why are you stealing? When should you steal? Why are you doing this? When do you hit the right field? When should you try to pull the ball? When, what gap to gap hitting? When should we bunt? Why are we bunting? Where do you bunt it? When the guys are on what bases? Look at the infield first before you step in. Like all those little details, that's kind of what I was missing. So when you go to a pro level and you don't have all that, it's like, what are you doing? Like you're miles behind, and you're supposed to have it at that point. You're not coming in as a 23-year-old going, and people being like, yeah, you don't know how to play this game. Like,
right.
So
I think that also goes back to Western Pennsylvania not being a big baseball area, because I remember myself, you're at practice and like, you'd have like 2 or 3 practices a year where you're talking about that stuff, when you should be talking about it every day. But then like the way they do it, the way they make it interactive, and it's like, okay, I'm just throwing the ball now. Like they're not talking about it after every throw. I don't think I ever got into that. Even in the high school level, we didn't talk about it. Like I think booster leagues, we would talk about it a little bit, but that goes to show how good my high school coaches were. But it's just like, it's a game of chess, not checkers. And I think a lot of people growing up in Western PA see baseball as a checkers game.
Yeah, absolutely. What I love to do now in a head coaching position, where you get to freely talk how you want to, and what you want to talk about, and how you want to coach, and what we're going to talk about this day, and how we're going to approach practice, and you get to make the decisions of what we're going to do, what we're going to talk about, how we're going to approach stuff. It's the best thing. It's my favorite thing. I think when you're an assistant, it's a little bit more of like, you stay in your lane. You know what I mean? You just kind of follow the plan. And I love to pass down all the mistakes and things I've learned that were crucial, that a lot of these kids, baseball or not baseball, just everything, my whole 20s wrapped in a nutshell, you know what I mean? And all the mistakes and things you wish you had known, and all that stuff. And then that's the golden information, where it's like, I can't go back and change this. I learned the hard way. Most of us learned the hard way at this age. And now we're going to tell you and teach you before you can make those mistakes. And you know what I mean? It's like, we had to pay for it. We don't get it back. And now we pass it down to these guys so they don't make the same mistakes, and they can benefit from us, and I love that. That's like, I love to be able to come on here and have 50 kids looking at me and bullshit about things, all that stuff.
Yeah.
I think when they know that it's somebody that really went after it, anybody that went after it for 6 or 7 years, and, you really weren't at a very high level, and you're kind of in that middle area. I think there's a respect there that, you learn a lot, whether you made it or you didn't. You learn a ton about life, really, too. Not just baseball. You learn a lot about what did you get out of this? What was the payoff when it was done? What did you do while you were doing it? What was worth it? What wasn't? The friends, the people, the places, traveling around, meeting like all this stuff, it all comes back around. It's cool to talk to these kids about when they talk about, what they want to do, or their jobs, or what they want to do for a living, and what should we do? What do you think? And like, you can actually add good conversation, because you lived it, you went through it, and it's cool. It's all baseball kids, and that's all I've ever known. I was that, and that's all I've ever done. So, it is. I really do. I like talk. I'm starting to love being able to help these kids. When I first got into it, and it's like, I'm a baseball coach. And there's all these other things like meetings and paperwork and making uniforms and getting all of our gear ready and transcripts and recruiting. And it's like you do like 10% baseball actually.
Yeah.
And all this other stuff. And right away I was like, man, I just want to coach baseball. I just want to be a baseball coach. And that changed pretty quickly. I think once you see your kids have success and you see them, you help them with getting tutoring, or you help them when they're in trouble, or you help them find their next school, and you help them get a scholarship, and and you just see you help them get, you're a big stepping stone to their next point, and you give them, good advice and life lessons, and they thank you after, and it's very heartfelt, these texts they send you, and it's a good feeling. It's a really good feeling. And now that I'm getting into it a little bit more, it's happening more and more. Yeah. It's just like the more times now that you keep helping these kids and you see them be successful and move them on to their next chapter in their life, and their families thanking you and they're thanking you. And you see them do well at their next place, and they keep in touch and they text you, and it's awesome. It's just a really cool feeling. And now that's happening over and over again. It's like, it's making me love the process, now that it's starting to happen. Because I'm only a year and a half in, and I didn't get to do anything yet. Honestly, we got canceled last year, and I didn't recruit anybody. I got hired too late. And then we just recruited a whole new team, and we got canceled. We had to ship them all out. That's
crazy.
It was the biggest. We spent 7 months recruiting an entire new team. Kids smaller, people getting in contact with me from all over, just because you play with all these players and coaches from all over the United States, and then when you become a college coach, they all reach out to you. They're like, hey, we want to send you kids, and it went really well for 2020. And about a month before Christmas break, we did our Zoom stuff for 4 months. Everybody all pumped up, ready to go. And they canceled us, and we had all these awesome players, and we were like, well, everyone's got to go somewhere. What are you gonna not play?
Yeah.
So we had to move on a lot of our main players to other schools, which was a hard pill to swallow.
Yeah.
To get them all there and then give them all away to everybody.
I bet. Oh my God.
So
I want to wrap up the conversation about your college days. When you got the call from Cal U that you were going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame last year.
Oh yeah.
What went through your mind? What was it something you felt you deserved, or were you like, wow, this is crazy?
Yeah. No, I 10 years later, it's not, it's
kind of the back of your mind, right?
Yeah, very much in the back of my mind. a lot of other stuff going on, but definitely awesome. It was, because it just brings all that stuff to the forefront again of how hard we worked. Once again, me and my dad and my pap and just my family in general, they were behind me the whole way through when I was little. All Stars High School, travel here, fly here, tryout. It was I put everything I had, everything, money, broken bones, all on the line. I can't even, both my elbows destroyed, like 8 surgeries, all of it was, so it feels good to get something like that, or just be recognized like that. Cause I did, us as a whole, and we put a lot of effort into it. So that was a cool, definitely a cool award. But like I said, I think just the older I get, the awards, they're cool, but like the people, it's all of the people that you meet. That's what
absolutely
lasts the whole way through. It's like the awards, nobody thinks of Sam DiMatteo on the baseball field, 20 years from now. You know what I mean? It just goes away. So what's more important to me is like the people and the relationships and stuff like that. But that kind of stuff, it is what it is. It's never bad, so that was a good one. That was a big one for us.
Yeah, absolutely. Now let's talk about getting the call to spring training with the Nationals. And we were talking beforehand how it went down, and it was kind of unconventional, I guess, if you want to tell that story.
Yeah. I'll briefly go through that one.
Yeah.
So basically when I was I think my junior year is when I got on the map. That was my year I was an All-American, and then I started getting, I think just when you're on like the stat leaderboards, like nationwide, like you just start to get some attention, and And I would get some things in the mail and some showcases to go to and a phone call here or there, and a couple people that would want to try to help, agents and stuff. And I'm like, I don't need an agent. If somebody says they want me to go play, I'm going to go. Like, I was like, I'm not I don't think I'm going to be some big time money player. We looked into it for a little bit just because I think they were like, we can open a lot more doors was the thing. We know people, we could send them the stuff. And I think we might've had some guy helping us. Like, I know we didn't go crazy in that respect. I think it was just somebody that was like, I'll help you. I don't even know if we had to pay. I can't remember, but I know we didn't go crazy there. But the Nationals were always the number one. That was the scout that was like text basis. We were texting. He'd call 2 years straight. Cool guy, email me. And so like we were talking about before, it was after my junior year, or no, during junior year, I talked to this guy. And then whenever I thought it was serious, or I knew it was much more serious, is we would go down south for a Georgia trip and play like 10 games in the sun because it was still cold where we were at. And I remember he was there the whole trip. He stayed every game. He'd come up to me after the games. And I just remember the last thing he said before I went home was like, you just hold it down and do decent, like you're going to be fine. And I remember that. It was very comforting too. And then I killed it again. I was All-American, and I hit like 415 and had like 12 home runs and 45 stolen bases, and was all over the place. And so we were like, man, we got to be good to go, and being a fifth-year senior, like I was saying, what they explained to me was that once the draft was over, and they didn't see me like, I wasn't on the draft board, and they kind of knew that I didn't want any money, and I didn't have another year, so there was nowhere for me to go. So basically, if no one took me, they could just bring me on for free as a free agent instead of having to pay me and all that. So it was some type of shit like that. But I was like, damn.
It was basically like you're gonna play for your contract, almost like playing for a scholarship.
Yeah, they didn't give me anything. I was lucky to, honestly, still the small percentage that gets to go into any MLB affiliated, I still don't look at it as like, oh, poor me. I was there, I was there. Yeah. Bryce Harper was my next blocker over. It was his rookie year. So it was his first year there. And that was pretty crazy. Getting dressed next to him and acting like it's not a big deal,
Yeah, right.
Like pretending like I've been here before a million times. But yeah, so it was just to be there and give myself a chance to be seen and get to see how it works and what the talent level is of a, AA, AAA, watch the big leaguers do their thing, take BP, literally warming up with Michael Taylor and Steven Souza Jr. and all these guys that have great careers, and and getting to see where I fit with those guys, and it gave me a lot of confidence because I once you see them move on and they're in the MLB and you're like, man, I feel Steven Souza Jr. was a different, that dude was, that was a different monster, man. That dude was something different. But there were players that went to a very high level. And I remember while I was there, I was like, man, I felt like I was right with these guys, and so, but some people, you hang around longer, some people, you don't, and everybody's path is different. And there's no, sometimes it's not fair. Sometimes that's life. That's baseball. That's life. There's tons of players that are awesome that get the shaft. And there's some players where you're like, how is this guy still here? Why is he here for 3 years? And, it's kind of all, and the only way to really see out your run is to just go as long as you can, because you never know when you're going to get your break. There's years where you do really good and you don't get shit. And then there's years where there was a year where I didn't do that much. And for some reason I was like getting phone calls from like great baseball organizations. And I'm like, what the hell? Where was this phone call?
What did you see in me?
Where was this phone call when like I didn't have 4 surgeries and was awesome? And I was fresh and doing great. I was like, why am I getting this phone call now? I was like, I can't even function. Like, it's just, and once again, it adds to like just baseball conversation that I can engage in with players and coaches, and just, when you go through the ringer and you just go through it all, it's like you see a lot of stuff, and you can add to, it adds to what you're able to relate to as a coach.
Yeah. So like how does that call to spring training lead to the rest of your professional career? Because like you're saying, like you didn't make the team, I guess, right? You didn't go to the majors. So how does that correlate to you making a squad in the minors? Just out of pure curiosity, because I don't know how it works.
Wait, I don't understand. Do you mean like
So, like,
just
did you go to the Nationals like minor league team after that?
Oh, no. So when you're there as a free agent,
Yeah.
you're basically there trying to get promoted to one of those teams. Like you're trying to get added to the actual roster. So you can go to the single A team, the double A, the rookie ball, because after a month of spring training, that's when it's like cut all the guys that we don't need here and start creating all the teams and send them out to their locations.
Gotcha.
Some stay at spring training facility. All the guys that are making the rosters, they're all going to Hagerstown where the single A was and wherever the double A team, and they're all gone. They all leave. So the goal was like when spring training is over, you want to be on one of those teams. You know what I mean? So I was there all the way to the end, and that was there. Just nothing, nothing opened up. There's nowhere that needs an extra outfielder. This, that, and the other. Thanks for coming out. And then I'm in Florida with my car. Done. What's my next move?
That's crazy.
So you just drive home, and you know what it did though? What was good was having that on your resume is big for like your next opportunity. So like whenever you email a coach or somebody, that that's going to message a coach or something or other, hey, Sam DiMatteo, he was with the Nationals last year at spring training. Like, and they're like, okay, well, this dude has to be legit, So like that, it helped. It definitely was not for nothing. It definitely helped, for my future places I went to and playing. And yeah, when you see that, that's like, is a coach now, even whenever we do like showcases and stuff, the first guys you look at, oh man, this dude played a little bit of pro ball. Where's he at? What's his name? That's the first guys you look at. So so that, it helped for down the road as well. So, that's stuff you see as you get a little bit older. When you're younger, you're just pissed because you're not there anymore and you got cut basically and you're mad. But yeah, it helped. That definitely helped for opportunities and stuff like that.
Yeah. So I guess the better way to phrase that question is, what was the next step?
Oh man. Once that was over, it was just, it brings back so many memories. I must have sent 3,000 emails in my day or texts when I was just trying to get opportunities at other. When you're cold call reaching out to like high level baseball organizations, such a shot in the dark. But I did it. When I was nuts and like fully blown committed, I would send emails to all the front desk people, the coaches. I'd send out 8 emails in the same program. I would just copy and paste all the emails to like a woman front desk. I was like, but one of them will see it, and I'll tell you what, I've sent out so many emails you wouldn't believe. Stats came from the Nationals. Here's my, All-American and called. I'm like, how could somebody not look at this, and I shit you not, those emails didn't do much.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's something that like, I think in almost every career path, it's like, just send out an email, somebody's going to look at it.
You just never know. That's why that's why I did it. It was just like, that was kind of like our way of going about it. Like, I think me and my dad, like that was a little bit of our plan. We're like, just put it together. Because if, you'd never know which guy might know you, or maybe there's somebody from Pennsylvania and they know who you are. We didn't want to leave like any
stone unturned.
Exactly. We just wanted to say that we went after it with everything. And it is honestly, doing it like that and going to every workout, every showcase, traveling, spending money. Some of them were good. Some of them were shit. Some of them you get nothing out of. Some of them you suck at. Like, but when it's all said and done and not having any regret of like, I should have did this. I should have went to this workout. I probably should have went here. When you don't have any regret when you're all done, it's amazing. Like it is, I did too much. So like when I'm done and I look at myself in the mirror, that's how it feels. Like I laugh at myself. I'm like, what the hell are we doing? Like it was like, man, we probably should have packed it in 2 years prior to this, And so that's amazing. That's an amazing feeling at this age was how hard I went after what I wanted to do. because in your life, you only get one chance to do that. You know what I mean? Especially as an athlete, you only get one chance to do that. And as soon as you hang them up and you get a little bit older or rusty, and it's over, you know? So I'm so happy I went. I truly gave it everything I had, everything, every shred of me in the weight room, everything, surgeries that they're telling me I'll never play again, and coming back from those, you know, and going through a lot of pain, and it hurt, you know. I couldn't play. I shouldn't have been playing, but it's awesome when it's all said and done. You can be you mentally, for your mental health, you know, to be good is very important to me. Yeah.
Yeah, that's I think that's the most important thing. Is I feel like there's a lot of people you see they didn't take the chances that they should have, and then later down, like 10 years down the line, they have so much regret.
Yeah, you can't go back, man. That's a toxic feeling, man.
Absolutely.
When there's nothing you can do about it, you know, and you're just, so yeah, I knew that too. That was, you know, that was my goal. That was me. I know I said when my time is up, like my body will be done functioning. Someone will, when someone sends me home because I can't play this sport and hang at this level anymore, I'll go home. It's pretty much what happened. Yeah.
Absolutely. So now let's talk the transition from playing ball to becoming a coach. What was that like? And obviously what was the mental of that? You know what I mean? Like, you're probably there like, oh, I feel like I could be playing, but you're a coach. I feel like that's something that goes through almost anybody's head when you're transitioning like that.
Yeah, it was tough. The first year was, I don't want to say it was tough. The first year, I wasn't a coach yet. That's how it felt. Felt like I wanted to be with all the players. Like we'd be coaching and I'd want to go sit in the middle of all the players.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and that you can't do that. Like that was just me transitioning, and it is what it is. But you know, they see you as a friend, a player. Like that's kind of how I was being treated, which I didn't mind. But when you want to be a coach and you're going to be respected every day, and they're going to straighten up when you're around and treat you, you know, accordingly, that's not how you treat players, you know. And that was my first year in coaching. You know, I felt like a player still. I just played last year, you know, and so that my first year, that was a weird transition, and I figured that out quickly. The next year, I was like, I can't do that. That's not how I want to be treated. That's not how I want to be seen. You know what I mean? And yeah, and it's just maturing, you know, with your job and with age. Because I think my first coaching job, I was probably 28, 29, you know. Now that I'm 34, you make a lot of changes of how you approach everybody in the field and what you do on a daily basis and how you talk to everyone and how you carry yourself. And, you know, you just find your way of how, you know, how you want to be as a coach. So, it's like not even a thing now, you know. I just had, but those first year or two, you got to kind of learn, you know, this new system, this new thing. It was just very new. But yeah, when I'm telling you, I think it's interesting because if you ask 100 players these questions, you get 100 different answers, you know.
Yeah.
For me, when I made the decision to be done, the amount of stress that lifted off of my body was I was sad, but it was an awesome feeling too, because it was I think for my injuries, is where I really took a lot. It was very stressful. And then I was very hard on myself too. Always added stress. You know, I was always, if I wasn't on a roll, I had stressed myself out a lot. I put a lot of weight on myself. I put a lot of pressure on myself with this stuff. And I just didn't want to fail. I didn't want to go back home and not make it. I didn't want to, you know, let everyone see me not reach the goal I wanted to reach. I didn't want everyone, my family, my grandparents, my dad, my people back home. I'm always in the paper. Everyone, you know, they're always saying where I'm playing next. And so you're always out there.
That's another Western Pennsylvania thing. I think with almost any sport, if you're any good, like people talk about you, and if you don't succeed their expectations, it's like
I didn't want to fail. I didn't want everyone to see me not make it, you know. So that's, you know what though, sometimes those are good because it's a driving force. Like, you know, it's because those are the times where, like, when you're doing bad, those are the type of things that you'll keep rolling, because you're like, I can't have everyone see me do this. I can't have everyone see me fail. I can't have my family. I don't want my family to see me fail. I want my family to be happy. And those are like driving forces. You need those, because if you don't have that and it gets that hard and it's just, you're doing it just because for you might quit very early. You don't have anything else to be like, this sucks, but you got all this shit behind you that you can't stop, and so, those are good things, it's, I mean, and that's honestly, that's sports. There's pressure on everybody. Nobody just floats through, that's part of it. That's why when you can play at that high level constantly and be all over TV, play in front of thousands and thousands of people, you're something else. You handle that pressure and you can show up every day and perform and do well. You are a different breed, that's not easy to do.
Yeah. And I feel like we've already kind of talked about your coaching situation, like how you had to basically, you lost the whole team, which is terrible. It's just the circumstances were dealt, right? And how do you come back from that? Because I had your LinkedIn up. How many years have you been a head coach? Is it 2 or 3? Not
like
even
a year
2.
and a half.
Yeah, it's a year and a half. So like you have your first year as a head coach, 2019, and you go through the season, right? And then 2020 happens. What are you doing now to get prepared now that you've lost some players? It's a whole new ball game now with COVID and everything. What's the game plan for you?
Yeah, so recruiting is big right now, because obviously we just had to give up a lot of our good players, and we got to stock up again. So recruiting is like a daily thing every morning. It's just like I'll sit down and take my time and run through. I got a lot, and if you do it right, keeping in touch with a lot of players is a lot. You know what I mean? Like keeping all of them logged down, keeping tabs with them as they go. Any questions? If the parents have questions, doing Zoom meetings. How's everything going? Just keep in touch. It's a lot of work. If you really go that far into it. So I'm doing that. And my coaches help me. My coaches are great. Good coaches are huge. Good coaches that you can allot some work to, and they help you out, stuff like that. That helps out a ton. They're great. But really just getting these guys ready for summer, making sure they're all playing summer ball, to put up some numbers, just to have something. Some of these kids haven't played in a year and a half, and we do our Zoom meetings. Really, that's our big things. That's basically our college routine. Is we get on Zoom throughout the week. Hitters are Monday, pitchers Tuesday, infielders Wednesday, outfielders Thursday, catchers Friday. Sometimes we bring on a special guest, like we had Matt Adams from the Cardinals or Nationals. He played at Slippery Rock. So people me and my coaches know, Coco Crisp, Tampa Bay Rays hitting coach. Between me, Casey, and Reed, my coaches, we all mixed in with some pro ball stuff. So we all kind of can bring on some interesting people that we've met throughout.
It sounds like that makes recruiting a little easier too. Whenever people know that they can get that insight from those type of players, and the
kids love it. The kids, they would take notes. They get to ask questions, and half of them they just ask dumb shit because they just want to talk to them.
Yeah, exactly.
They just want to have a conversation with these guys. But no, they honestly they didn't. I'm just being tough on them. They were good.
That's what I do. I bring all these people on my podcast just to ask them dumb questions. Because
it was cool though. Some of them would text me after and be like, man, I can't believe I just got to talk to him and blah blah blah, and they would sit on there and be cool as hell. They'd be on there for an hour, just talk about their career and what path they chose through college, and then what was pro. And all these kids would ask them, what's your approach? What was the difference between this league and this league, and this level and this level? It was great. So we did that every Friday. We had a new guy on, coaches from minor league teams, from pro teams, players we played with. It was really cool. So even though the online stuff was kind of tough at the beginning, or weird, very different, we found a way to make it very informative, because you can't do anything physical. You give them workouts to do, And then, we gave them their gym stuff, and we would, we told them, for each position, what they should be working on. Everyone's strengths and weaknesses are different. So pick out what, where your game is weak, focus on that, and everyone can text us whenever they want, send us video, if they want some one-on-one stuff. And we did a lot of that in the fall. So we made it work for what it was. And to me, it was, I feel like doing an online stuff was so much talking that it's like, you would never learn this much on a normal schedule. When you're at the field, you don't talk this much. You know what I mean? It's hard to talk as much as we're talking and really digging deep in everything, because we can't do anything else. So we go into hitting, we talk about hitting for an hour every week, hour and a half on our hitter Zoom, going over mechanics, going over approaches, talking about stuff, watching video. You don't do that whenever you're at the field every day. You show up, everyone warms up, you do team defense, everyone splits up, pitchers are over here, we hit BP, maybe we run some inter squad, clean the field up. There's not talk for 10, 15 minutes about tomorrow, what we have coming up. Some classroom stuff you can mix in if you want, but man, you can't go like that. We went 4 months where all we could do is get on here and talk about baseball.
Yeah.
So I said, it's like, man, there's a lot of people, there's a lot of things that suck about being stuck on here, but we these kids learn. I was like, man, I think you guys learned more than I learned in 4 years of college than 2 weeks.
Yeah, because I mean, it goes back to what we were saying earlier. Like growing up, it was a game of checkers, but as you go on, it's a game of chess. And I think you're getting that mental game a little more when you're just talking about it and not doing physical.
Yeah, 100%. And I hear it all the time. My Pat would say it. My Pat Regney all the time would say the mental stuff. You got to make sure you're mental. And I'm like, dude, I'm batting 5'10", 20 home runs in high school. And I'm killing over here. And I'm on this all-star team. I was like, I think my mental shit is all right. And, and then when you get to that higher level, you're like, yeah, now I see what all these people were talking about.
Yep, absolutely. Now let's talk about your charity, the SD Project. What was the inspiration for that, and why did you start it?
But when I would come home in the winters when I was playing, I would live in my parents' basement, because I would always leave every 4 months. So I never could get a place. And I would just be getting ready for my next baseball season. So I would teach at a couple baseball facilities in back home, one in New Brighton, one kind of like near the Ohio border, a couple guys I knew, and they let me do lessons out of their facilities. And man, did they save me, because that was survival. I was busy in those. I was busy in those places. It was great. And I would teach all ages, hitting lessons, camps, clinics, weight, strength training. Just, I was able to go nuts in those. I had a key, just make my own schedule. It was amazing. And then whenever I needed to work out, I could do my own thing. So it was the perfect setup. And so in Beaver County, just low income area, we get tons of kids that just couldn't afford a lot of it, or stopped coming, or didn't have equipment, or would ask me for help, or we need discounts, or we can't keep coming, and this, that, and the other. So I saw it way too much. And I think when I first started seeing that stuff, I was like, it like popped into my head, but I didn't do anything yet. Mm-hmm. It just wasn't. I was like, it'd be cool to have something where I can help these kids or something. Like I kind of have that side to me, like I like to help kids that are like the underdog, that struggle. Like I have that in me to help those people. And I saw it too much. And whenever I think I started to get towards the end of my baseball run, some situation was just like it's pretty severe, something with a kid that had a disease and he needed to stay active, or he started to get sore and they didn't have money to stay in. I'm like, dude, keep them in here. I was like, trust me, you're $20 a week or some shit, that's nothing for what this is. So that really is what kicked me in the ass to do something. And I made a GoFundMe that said, like, if I'm going to raise money. I just gave it a name. I call it the SD Project. Like I never thought it would be what it is. I was like, okay, that'll work for now, and I put it up on GoFundMe and said it would be for like boy, girl, any sport, anything in Beaver County. If somebody is struggling and they need to stay involved, if they don't have equipment or they can't pay for what they're doing, this money would be used for that. And I had no idea what I was doing. I just wanted to help this family. And then I was like, and maybe if it raises some more money, then maybe I can do a couple more things, and um, 5 years later, we've been to like 7 different countries and helped like 2,000 or more people in the United States, and we travel wherever, and people reach out to us now. Like I used to search for it. I used to look for kids that needed help in our area. And now it's just like all over the state, all over the country. People, all my sports people know that I do it. So, and they all are involved with sports. So like a month goes by, there's always something or other that someone will reach out to me and be like, hey, we got this family. Hey, we got this kid. And it could be anywhere in the country.
Yeah.
So yeah, and we kind of always keep some money stocked up. So when something pops up, we're usually able to help. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. So like what intrigued me the most when I looked into it a little more was the fact that you guys have been to several different countries to do this. And it's like that's something I never would have thought to do.
Yeah.
Being a guy from Beaver County, it's like I want to help the people that are growing up in my area. But
Yeah.
to take it that step even further, so much further, to help people that you probably don't have any connection with other than baseball. That's tremendous.
Yeah, it was, man, I'll tell you what, it's funny we're talking about this. My friend that goes with me on these trips just sent me a bunch of pictures from when we went to Africa. I think he opened up like his old computer, but man, those trips will do something to you. You see how the area we went to, this orphanage in the middle of, honestly, it was like almost going to like a tribe of people with nothing, with no running water and no showers, nowhere to go to the bathroom. And they kill like a goat in the morning, and that's what you eat for the next week. And man, it was something. Sleep on the floor, no air conditioner, no lights. And that's kind of what we wanted to do. We took soccer equipment to an orphanage in Zimbabwe, Africa. We just started doing some research, and man, just whatever we found and whoever we started reaching out to, just no rhyme or reason of who we picked and what, we were just like, let's find an area that has nothing and let's go take them a bunch of awesome stuff. That was really the idea behind it. And it was awesome. It was so cool. I have a big video on it on my website and stuff. And, but I'll tell you what, I was there for a week and I about couldn't make it. And these people live there every day.
Yeah, they live there.
80 years old, 80, 90-year-old people walking around. And one week I was I literally almost couldn't hang anymore. 1 week.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but yeah, when you come back home, man, it's just like,
kind of puts everything in perspective.
I feel terrible. I'm like, when you go to the store and it's just, I felt bad going into a store. It was like, the fruit is picked and washed and sitting there for you. The meat is cut and wrapped up and there's seasoning for it. And there's everything and it's all just here. You just walk in and throw it on your cart and go home. And then you cook it on your fire stove. And then whenever your dishes are done, you put them in here so you don't have to clean them. And then you go drink your fridge full of water. And it was just, the bathroom, hot water with the turn of a knob, hot water, car with air conditioning. And it was just every single little thing I looked at differently when I came home from that trip. Every little tiny detail, it really changed me a little bit. So when bad stuff happens or like I complain, I literally like yell at myself out loud. I'm like, oh my God, will you shut up? Like, because I've seen some shit doing this stuff. And I consider myself, I do work hard and I'm a good person and, I do my thing. And, I don't feel like I'm lucky because of what I have, but I still feel that way a little bit, where it's just like the way my family, the way I grew up, where I'm at, whatever stars align, I feel I'm happy, grateful and lucky to be, what my position. So I try to take full advantage of it. I'm like, instead of sitting here and being good, like I should be helping people. I should be doing stuff because had such a good life. I have such a good life and I'm grateful for that, but I don't want to be complacent and just accept it and be like, yeah, great. Things are great. It's like, I should be working my ass off to help other people because I'm so lucky for what I have. And I didn't really think like that till you get a little bit older. When you're younger, you're in that big tornado of your 20s. You don't know what the hell's going on. It's hard to help other people when you can barely even get your shit together yourself. So now that I'm kind of my things are coming together and I'm a little bit more comfier with what I'm doing, things like that. I definitely like to help people. It just feels like that's what I should be doing, because I have a good life. I had a good life, so
Yeah.
that's kind of how I feel about that stuff.
Yeah. Now I want to talk more specifically about the whole way I found you. Actually, I saw a tweet recently about your initiative for Aliquippa, PA,
Yeah.
in our neck of the woods. And I was like, wow, that's pretty awesome. And I remember like growing up, I had one friend from Aliquippa who he played on the baseball team for high school, and he was like, yeah, sometimes we just didn't have a team. Sometimes like nobody wanted to play. And I was like, really? Like you
Yeah.
think about it, like as a teenager, you're like, really, no baseball? But it's like some places it's like it's just not appealing, or you just don't have the facilities. Like I think Aliquippa, he told me about Aliquippa's field and how terrible it was. He's like, yeah, like we barely played home games. And I was like,
Yeah,
wow, like you don't
they
think
always have
about it that much.
their football, basketball. They're
Oh
always
yeah.
always awesome. And baseball, just, yeah, I don't know why. It's just never, um, they're just not a big thing for Aliquip. I don't know if it has to do with their facilities or having trouble getting coaching or just kids going out for baseball. And but I think a good start is fixing fields that might make it a little bit more appealing, something
Absolutely.
like that. So, but anything Beaver County, everybody loves in Beaver County. People just love to help, anything that has to do with athletes that are struggling financially. Beaver County is a close little town. Like I've seen a lot of cool things happen there, and they do help. It is a cool little place. I feel like it's a close knit. Our parents all still live there. There's old, there's I don't know if you call it tradition, but like it just feels like my town always has my back. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I do feel like you're in Beaver County. You grew up and you're a good person, and all the people that still live there, your little community. I do feel like Beaver County does stuff like that. They help each other out from the same communities in Beaver. I've seen things like that. So that maybe some people think differently, but for me, Beaver County has had my back. People I know from all those different towns many, many times. So any chance I can to go try to do something there, I definitely am in. I love to try to help the area that I'm from.
Yeah, absolutely. So, getting to the roots of this project in Aliquippa, is that your big plan? Is to kind of help the facilities, like try and give them a better field than what they have, or whatever?
Yeah, it's kind of like right now I still have to meet up with them to see exactly what they want to do. But what I basically bring to the table is when I just put that up there, my goodness, there's like 50 people on board. You know what I mean? That
Yeah,
have companies and truck companies and weed whacker and mowers and paint and wood. And so it's kind of what I told them. I was like, I think if I put this up, I think a lot of people will get behind this one, because Beaver County people, I think, will jump on board with this one heavy. And that's exactly what happened. So many people got a hold of me. So basically, the next step is I have to see, there's 3 fields up there, and I just see what they want to do and what's possible,
yeah,
what is reasonable, what's possible. And then you can go the next step where you can be like, well, we need this infield and this is how much it's going to cost. So now we need donations. Everybody that can help, this is the number we have to get to. And, or if we need these trucks or we need this. So the next step is like really detailed stuff, or what we need to really get it rolling. But the first step was just getting it out there to as many people as possible, having people message me and letting me know who can do what. So I have a big list of everybody who's capable of what they can do. So when I talk to them, then I can start like allotting what jobs can get done here, what we
yeah,
have, or we're just going to make a run at it. That's how I do most of my stuff. Just dive in and ask questions later.
yeah. That's pretty awesome, though. And I think like we talk about how like the field probably isn't in great shape, and it's like us, like we were probably fortunate that our parents cared so much about like the fields and everything. And now I go through Vanport where I played baseball. Like I'll drive through there. It's like nobody's touched the fields in
Yeah.
forever. And it's like, where did that go? Because it's
Yeah.
like you don't realize that it's more than just taking care of the field in the summertime.
Oh my
Where it
gosh.
was like
If
our
you're going to keep a baseball field nice, I mean, it could be every day.
Yeah.
Honestly.
And that's the thing is we like my generator, my like age group of kids, our parents, it was like if they wanted to get out of the house, they'd go down to the fields and cut the grass or do whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like somewhere down the line that just it went away. It's kind of upsetting to see in your own backyard. But it's awesome to have an organization like yours come into a community and be like, hey, let's get this back on track.
Yeah.
I think there's more places than just Aliquippo that need that back in Beaver County.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Start.
You can go all day in Beaver County. You drive around and football fields and just basketball areas and Rochester, Beaver, New Brighton, Freedom, Aliquippa. What am I missing? But you know what I mean? Monaca, downtown Monaca. There's just a lot of areas that just are, not the most beautiful area in the world. So and if you grew up there, you know what some of these areas are like. So I think the help is endless. It's just finding it and trying to make it work. It'd be much better if it'd be a lot easier if there were big companies that could come in and they're big projects. Like to make a field really nice, you need big companies putting in a big chunk for you or really helping out. These things are hard to do when it's just people like us all trying to scrap it out together and make it work. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you need a company or two to make a big donation or, you know what I mean? Or really help out. And that's easier said than done. I've went that route with a few things, and a lot of times it's hard to get big help like that.
Yeah, for sure. And I think with a place like Beaver County, it's like we've kind of talked about it. You don't really kind of need that because it's such a close-knit area that everybody wants to get in on it anyway. So that's what's awesome about doing it in that area.
We're going to make a run at it. We'll see where it goes.
Yep, absolutely. So Sam, thank you for coming on the podcast. It was an awesome conversation, getting to know you and getting to know your project and your charity. Everybody, please, if you can donate, go to the sdproject.com, check it out, see what they're all about. You already know what Sam's all about. He's a pretty cool dude. So if you could just help him and his guys out and help all these kids who they deserve to have a chance to play baseball, and they deserve to have it as good as we did whenever we were playing. I think that's kind of what we want here, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Be able to give these kids a place to play and the equipment to do so. So please go donate. I'll have the link in the description. So
people can even make equipment donations. We're doing that as well. So yeah, if they want to, you can visit the website. You can find me on social media. Send me a message. There's all kind of ways to reach out. So
yeah, absolutely. I was talking to the guys at Pod Hub. Anthony DiMatteo. He said that he donated a crap ton of stuff to you one time. He just found it at like Marshall's or something. He's like, well, I don't need it, but I'm going to buy it.
Yeah, I have a cousin from Aliquippa, DiMatteo. Yeah. I have cousins. So I had cousins that grew up in Aliquippa too. People that I grew up with in Aliquippa, and same thing. A lot of them reached out too. That were like, "This is awesome. Let me know." So there's tons of help. It's just really getting it all together.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, thank you for coming on, Sam, and have a good one, man.
All right, man. Appreciate it.